Good morning. No, it's afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Trobin, has anyone signed up for public comment?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Les Truman, General Counsel. We have one individual who's here to provide public comment, Mr. Ewis. Come on, introduce yourself and begin.
Thank you, folks. My name's Michael Ewis. I'm standing before you today because last year, about this time in August, I was let go by my company. I was fired. I had a meeting with an investigator. He determined the company was correct. And when I appealed that decision, my company at the time declined to participate and said they would not fight my determination to get unemployment. I then had a meeting scheduled with Officer Randall, 7:30 in the morning, back in I have it right here. So I get in this meeting, I try to call in to get on the conference call, can't get through. They said I can't log into the call. I call the 800 number, get someone online saying, hey, I've got a call like in 10 minutes with Officer Barnstone. I'm trying to get in. Sir, you've missed that call. Oh, I call Officer Barnstone. I say, hey, I've missed the meeting. I just spoke with the receptionist. They're telling me I need to reschedule. Yes, you need to reschedule. Unbeknownst at the time, that missing a meeting will deny you benefits. So I thought that was covered. I did get a meeting scheduled with Officer Barnstone, hearing Officer Barnstone, February 22nd, after my original hearing was supposed to be October 31st. We go through the process. I mentioned to Officer Barnstone that I tried to call in. No one would accept me into the call. He tells me in practice, when you call in, we should put you in the call. I said, well, why didn't they? He goes, let me look. And then he comes up and says, I can see you called in at 7:33. I said, no, I spoke with multiple persons before 7:33, 3 minutes late. He then states that, no, you did not. And if our people, so you're trying to tell me our employees don't know how to do their job. I'm like, where's this coming from? I just stated I tried to call in and he said I didn't. I could see on my cell phone, I had 2 calls into the 800 number that morning on the 31st. He didn't really listen or didn't believe me. So then we go through that process. He basically hammers me for not making the meeting. We go for the reasons for dismissal, all good. A couple, I don't know, weeks later, I get another email saying your appeal has been denied because you failed to call in prior to 7:30. At that point, then I got phone records from my cell phone provider and the landline Spectrum, sent him in showing I actually did try to call in. And why are they only capturing my last call in versus the call? My last call, they could see at 7:33, ended at 7:38 or something. I stated I made multiple calls. Denied. Your claim is denied because you missed the call by 3 minutes. You referenced some precedent that someone in the past missed a call and so claim denied. So then I appeal it. A couple months go by, I get, this is going from February to March, I have a new hearing scheduled with Officer Barnstone. I thought this was odd, he just heard my appeal. The day of the hearing, April 10th, it gets canceled. I get on the call and they say, no, you shouldn't have had a hearing with the officer. We should have come in front of you guys. So this is now April. I kept calling repeatedly, emailing, when am I going to get on the docket? Oh, we're so sorry, we made a mistake. We know this is urgent. We'll get it done, we'll get it done. So I missed last month, I missed the month before. I finally get on the docket. Thank you. So now I'm standing here before you, really frustrated. And part of it comes to the folks I've been dealing with, like Barnstone, who basically called me a liar. I provided him documentation that, in fact, I did try to call in. Why wasn't I placed in a call? This in practice, I don't know what that means in business, but it doesn't mean in our policy is he stated in practice and putting in writing in one of his appeal notes. Also, the other issue, and then I'll drop this, and you guys will get to this packet, I'm sure at some point, is whenever I try to communicate with you guys and I'd send an email, I get a response back from someone that just signs their initials. DMM was a one that got over and over. who is DNM? Do I have a phone number I can call? I had questions about why my appeal was going to this level because I wanted answers. No one would answer me. They would just say, they would shoot me to another appeal commission appeal number. So the communication is lacking from staff to when, they work for us, the citizens of Texas. Don't be hiding behind emails without your name and your title and who you are. That's very unprofessional. And that it's taken a year, I guess, to get a decision off of this, where my company said they're not going to pay benefits, or they will pay me benefits. They're not going to fight me because that's a whole nother issue, but they're not fighting the fact that I'm applying and should be receiving benefits. So that's it. Just very frustrated. This termination happened 1 year ago in August. So a year in, 3 or 4 weeks, 3 weeks. That's it.
All right, thank you very much.
And thanks. And Mr. Lewis will have our appeals management also reach out to you to coordinate further. Thank you so much. And commissioners, that's what we have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Troman. All right. Moving on to agenda item 3, we have no cases to reconsider. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Under agenda item 4 on tax liability cases, we have 2 cases on docket 35 and 2 cases on docket 36.
For the record, Hugh Daniel, Special Program Appeals. That's correct, Chairman Daniel. There are 2 tax liability cases on docket 35 and 2 tax liability cases on docket 36. The first case number on docket 35 is TD-24-027-0624. Commissioner Esparza,
Agree with the recommendation.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff's recommendation.
and Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
The second case number on docket 35 is TD-24-029-0624. Commissioner Esparza,
Agree with staff recommendations.
Commissioner Trevino,
I disagree with staff recommendations. Rather, I find that the nurses and the clerical workers were in the employment of the GLP. Several key factors, including being paid an hourly rate on a regular pay schedule, and requirement that the workers provide their services personally without the ability to delegate their work to others, and the amount of control and direction that GLP had over how the work was performed, support the existence of an employment relationship between these workers and GLP.
Chairman Daniel,
Agree with staff recommendation.
Commissioner Trevino, would you like to dissent?
Yes, the short form.
Short form dissent. The first case number on docket 36 is TD-23-010-0323. Commissioner Esparza,
Agree with the recommendations.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff's recommendation.
and Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
And the last case, the second case on docket 36 is TD-24-007-0224. Commissioner Esparza,
I agree in part and disagree in part with the staff recommendation that the request for abatement of interest through an extension of the due dates is granted for all but the quarter furthest in the past. The record shows that before the 3-year deadline, the employer had contacted TWC and was working with the account examiner to unravel the complicated problem. In addition, the employer was doing its best to pay the back taxes and interest. Based on the employer's good faith efforts to work with TWC and pay the amounts owed, I believe the company has shown sufficient good cause to merit extension of the relevant due dates for all of the calendar quarters at issue in this case, from the 3rd quarter of 2020 through the 4th quarter of 2022.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff's recommendation.
and Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
Commissioner Esparza, would you like to dissent or dissent in part?
No dissent.
No dissent. All right, that concludes the tax liability cases on this docket.
Thank you. No fair housing cases under agenda item 5, no child labor cases under agenda item 6. Under agenda item 7, we have no wage claim cases on docket 35 or docket 36 pulled for additional discussion.
That is correct. There are no fair housing cases or child labor cases on docket 35 or 36, and there are no pooled cases for additional discussion for the wage claim cases on docket 35 or 36. you should have received the short form dissent list for docket 35 and 36.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the wage claim cases on dockets 35 and 36.
I second the motion except for those cases in which I am dissenting as reflected on wage claim short form dissent list for docket 35 and 36.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting as reflected in wage claim short form dissent list for dockets 35 and 36.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. We're going to take a short recess. All right, we're back. This is agenda item 8. And consideration of unemployment insurance cases on docket 35. Please proceed when you're ready.
Case number 3463345, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision should be modified. I agree that the claimant's petition to reopen should be deemed timely and that the claimant established good cause for missing AT1 due to not receiving either the AT1 decision or the hearing notice in the mail. However, regarding the work separation, the claimant had been receiving benefits immediately prior to starting this job. The claimant only worked this job for a couple of days, and this job was not suitable work for the claimant as it paid below her commission established maximum wage demand. Therefore, this work separation should not be disqualifying under section 207.045 G1. Modify the AT. Claimant filed a timely petition to reopen. Claimant had good cause for missing AT1, valid claim, no disqualification under 207.045 G1.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. First, I don't dispute the timeliness, good cause, and validity of claims issues. Concerning the job separation, the claimant was discharged for excessive absences during her first few days of work in accordance with commission precedent, because during a short period of employment, the claimant had an excessive number of absences, which were not due to her own illness. She was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant filed a timely Rule 16 petition to reopen. The claimant had good cause for a non-appearance, valid claim, misconduct.
Timely claimant petition to reopen, claimant established good cause for AT1, valid claim, rehear to develop the record on whether the work was unsuitable for an analysis of the separation as acquitted under section 207.45 G1.
We do not have a majority vote on the separation.
Ma'am, I'll agree with the chair.
We will rehear the case. Thank you.
Case number 3610998, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. Regarding the good cause issue, the claimant missed the AT1 hearing because she was working at her job during the time of the hearing. Therefore, the claimant had good cause for missing AT1 hearing. Regarding the overpayment issue, since the overpayment at issue in this case is a direct result of the work separation disqualification at issue in the companion case, case number 3463345. And since the disqualification in the companion case should be reversed, the overpayment in this case should also be reversed. Reverse the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, no overpayment.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. First, I don't dispute the good cause issue. Concerning the overpayment, because the overpayment resulted from the claimant's disqualifications in the companion case and the disqualification was appropriate, the resulting overpayment is also appropriate. Affirm the AT decision. The claimant had good cause for a non-appearance overpayment.
Claim established good cause for AT1, rehear with the companion case to develop the record on whether the underlying separation was for work that was unsuitable.
Again, we do not have a majority vote on this, on the underlying issue of the overpayment.
Yes, ma'am, I'll agree with the chair again on this case.
Thank you. We will rehear the case.
Case number 3366588, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision should be modified. The claimant's appeal was filed late because she did not understand the determinations that were mailed to her. The claimant is a Spanish speaker and informed the TWC when filing her claim that she needed a Spanish-speaking representative. Despite this, the determinations were only sent to the claimant in English. Since the determinations were not mailed to the claimant in Spanish, the claimant's appeal was late due to the commission misinformation, and the appeal should be deemed timely. Regarding the first availability determination, the claimant testified that her car broke down on 6/2/22, but that it was fixed by the following week. Therefore, she was only unavailable for the benefit period 5/29/22 through 6/11/22. As to the other availability determination, the claimant credibly testified that she had childcare for the entire claim period, as she has adult daughters who were able to care for her youngest child, and that it was just a miscommunication that she did not have adequate childcare. Therefore, we should modify the AT timely claimant appeal, claimant not available for work from 5/29/22 through 6/11 of 22 due to lack of transportation. Claimant otherwise available for work from 1/9 of 22 through 8/13 of 22, as she had adequate childcare. Recalculate overpayment.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision regarding timeliness. If the claimant did not understand the determination she received, she could have sought help by calling TWC or going to a local workforce office. She did neither. She finally requested assistance when she received other documents dealing with an overpayment. Because the claimant did not seek help and because there is no good cause exception to the timeliness rules, the claimant's appeal is late. However, we can take continuing jurisdiction on the availability issues. Based on the claimant's testimony, the ineligibilities should be closed as of August 13th, 2022. Accordingly, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant filed a late appeal, availability not eligible from January 9th, 2022 to August 13th, 2022, and available not eligible from May 29th, 2022 to August 13th, 2022, overpayment.
Timely appeal, claimant available due to child care, claimant not available for work due to transportation from May 29th, 2022 to April 8th, 2023, overpayment.
All right, we have a majority vote on the timeliness issue and on the availability related to childcare, but we have a different end date for the transportation issue. We have 6/11/22 for, that was your end date, Commissioner Trevino, and for 8/23 from the chairman. If we do not have a majority vote on the underlying merits, it will be affirmed as the AT decision found.
Okay, I'll just short form dissent, ma'am.
Okay.
Case number
Hold on.
35.
Tell me again what your original vote was.
It was to the timely claimant appeal, the claimant not available for work from 5/29/22 through 6/11 of 22 due to lack of transportation. Claimant otherwise available for work from 1/9 of 22 through 8/13 of 22, as she had adequate childcare. Recalculate overpayment.
All right, give me just a second.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, could you please repeat your vote for me?
Say again.
Could you please repeat your vote?
My original vote was a timely appeal, claimant available on the child care issue, claimant not available on the transportation issue from May 29th, 2022 to April 8th, 2023. I concur with Commissioner Trevino.
All right, thank you.
I've got a short form dissent
Okay.
on the availability for childcare.
Case number 3572972, Commissioner Esparza.
The commission should grant a rehearing in this case. The claimant was fired for failing to notify the child's parents about a headache that the child experienced. Child would later go on to experience medical issues that worsened drastically. While the claimant denies being aware of the need to notify the child's parents, the employer, in its appeal to the commission, provides a witness statement from a registered nurse which states that the nurse alerted the claimant of the need to call the child's parents if the child experienced a headache. Since the evidence is clearly germane to the final incident, we should conduct a hearing to admit the employer's commission appeal evidence into the record and to allow the employer the opportunity to provide firsthand testimony from the registered nurse who signed the witness statement.
The AT decision is correct. The employer alleged that the claimant, a school nurse, was discharged for failing to follow a student's medical plan by failing to inform the student's parents that the student had reported to the clinic with a headache. The claimant testified that the student did not have any of the symptoms listed on his plan and that it was not a required procedure to contact students' parents anytime they visited the clinic. The employer presented no evidence of any policy or determination that would have placed the claimant on notice of the need to contact the student's parents due to his prior medical issues. Therefore, the employer has failed to establish that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct.
Rehear.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3573262, Commissioner Trevino.
AT decision is not supportable. The claimant misunderstood the instructions due to medication that he was taking and registered for the hearing 1 minute late. Since the claimant had good faith effort to participate in the hearing, it should be held that the claimant established good cause for missing the AT1 hearing. Regarding the job separation, although it is possible that the claimant failed to provide notice to the employer of his absences, this was due to the medication he was taking. The claimant's absences were directly related to his medical condition. Therefore, the claimant's separation was directly related to his medically verified illness, and he was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, no chargeback, MVI.
We should modify the AT decision. First, I don't dispute the good cause issue. Concerning the job separation, the claimant was terminated when he was a no-call, no-show on multiple days leading to his separation. Although the claimant alleged that he had attempted to call in, the record failed to show any attempts by the claimant to inform the employer about his time off. Finally, although the claimant submitted some medical documentation, the evidence did not show that he was unable to work, nor that he was prevented from informing the employer of his absences due to circumstances beyond his control. As such, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant established good cause for missing the AT hearing. Misconduct, no chargeback.
Claim established good cause for AT1, misconduct, no chargeback.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3573976, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision should be modified. I agree that the claimant did not establish good cause for her failure to appear at AT1. However, the claimant's assignment with the employer, a home healthcare company, ended because her client was no longer available, and the employer presented no firsthand testimony or even unsworn statements from the person who allegedly called the claimant to try to offer her more work. The claimant's previous statements to the commission were all credible and consistent and established that she was never contacted by the employer about any additional work, despite keeping her documents up to date, updated so that she could remain on the schedule. Therefore, the claimant was discharged due to lack of work after her assignment ended. Modify the AT. Claimant did not establish good cause for AT1. No misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
We should modify the AT decision regarding good cause because the claimant's non-appearance resulted from her misreading the hearing notice. She did not establish good cause. As to the job separation, after the claimant's assignment ended, the employer reached out to her multiple times to offer further work, but the claimant did not respond. By not responding to the employer or picking up any more shifts on the employer's app, the claimant clearly notified the employer that the employment relationship had ended. Since there is no evidence the claimant had good cause to quit, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant did not have good cause for her non-appearance, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever adequate employer response.
Claimant did not establish good cause for AT1, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever adequate response.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3579239, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant was fired for a loud argument she had with the dining service director. Both the claimant and the director were terminated. While the claimant generally denies wrongdoing, her testimony is inconsistent. First, the claimant stated that the director got into her daughter's face and pointed too closely to her person. And as a result, the claimant got up and moved the director's hand out of her daughter's face, which indicates physical touching by the claimant. This is at odds with the claimant's later testimony, where she stated she never touched the director. In addition, the claimant also stated that when she was notified of her suspension, she asked if she was being suspended for defending herself, her daughter, and asking her husband to come help her. The claimant later testified that she did not instruct her husband to come. These inconsistencies cast doubt on the claimant's testimony. Therefore, the employer's evidence and testimony should be given greater weight. Since both the director and the claimant were fired, and since the exchange between them created a disruption with the workplace that concerned and upset residents, the claimant's action constituted work-connected misconduct. Affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate employer response.
The decision is not supportable. The employer discharged the claimant due to an argument that occurred with the coworker. The claimant denied the employer's allegations that she raised her voice or acted in a threatening manner. The employer's secondhand hearsay testimony and evidence are insufficient to overcome the claimant's sworn denial about her conduct. Therefore, the employer failed to establish that the claimant's actions are misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3583038, Commissioner Trevino.
While I don't dispute that the claimant did not establish good cause for missing the AT1 hearing, the claimant's timely petition to reopen also constituted a timely appeal to the commission of the first appeal tribunal decision. Regarding the job separation, the claimant's continued claim involved her work for a marketplace contractor in self-employment. As such, the determination should be voided. Modify the AT. Claimant did not establish good cause for missing AT1. Set aside the AT decision. Void the job separation and overpayment determinations.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant did not register for the appeal hearing because she did not read the entire hearing notice. The claimant was under her own mistaken impression that filing an appeal also constituted registration for the hearing. Since these were circumstances within the claimant's power to control, she did not have good cause for non-appearance. As to the job separation, the claimant simply stopped accepting work from the named employer due to personal reasons unrelated to the work. Therefore, the claimant quit without work-connected good cause. Affirm the AT decision. The claimant did not have good cause for her non-appearance, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Void the continued claim, no overpayment.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3584972, Commissioner Sparsa.
This case should be remanded to the appeal tribunal. The AT randomly switched between direct examination of the claimant and the employer without completing testimony from one or the other, or allowing cross between the switches. Since these are due process issues that need to be cured before the decision can be rendered in this case, we should remand this case to the AT to allow the parties to provide complete testimony and to allow for cross-examination.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant quit due to a reduction in hours, which caused a reduction in his pay. The employer alleged that the reduction was for disciplinary reasons, but wage history records indicate that the reduction in the pay rate and hours led to a reduction in pay of over 25%, which gives the claimant good cause connected with the work for quitting, even if the reduction was due to a claimant's alleged misconduct. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving.
Remand.
We will remand the case. Would you like to short form dissent? Commissioner Trevino?
Yes, ma'am. Short form dissent.
Case number 3588167, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant has worked part-time for the employer for over 5 years. The claimant filed his initial claim after being separated from his full-time employment, but continued to work for the named employer part-time and reported his earnings. The claimant requested and was granted time off from work on 4/5/23, 4/12/23, and 4/20 of 23. This was not a separation from employment with the employer, but an approved leave of absence, after which the claimant returned to work with the employer. Therefore, there was no job separation and the determinations related to the claim should be voided. Set aside the AT decision, void job separation, and overpayment determinations.
We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant triggered the work separation when he failed to perform services for multiple work weeks. Since the claimant stopped performing services due to personal reasons unrelated to work, we should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving overpayment.
Set aside the AT, void the continued claim, no overpayment.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3591589, Commissioner Sparsa.
We should find the employer's appeal to the commission timely. In the conclusion section of the AT2 decision, the AT noted that because the claimant quit for another job, the employer's account would not be subject to chargeback as a result of the claim. However, in the decision section, the AT noted that the employer would be charged. This inconsistency or AT error is tantamount to misinformation from a TWC representative. Because the AT created confusion about whether the decision was favorable or adverse to the employer, and this misinformation could have contributed to the employer's late appeal, we should deem the employer's appeal timely and resubmit the case for merits.
The employer's appeal to the commission should be dismissed as late. The employer only provided a good cause reason for its late appeal, and there is no good cause exception to the timeliness rules. The commission does not have jurisdiction due to the employer's late appeal. Dismiss the employer's CA appeal as late. The AT decision remains in full force and effect. Employer established good cause for AT1. Charge the employer's account.
Timely employer appeal, employer established good cause for AT1, no chargeback.
All right, we do not have a majority vote on the merits. We have a majority vote on the timely appeal. However, Commissioner Esparza, you voted to resubmit the case. And the chairman ruled on the merits of the underlying issues.
I'll agree with the chairman.
Right, thank you.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3596595, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT3 decision is not supportable. The claimant did not attend the AT2 hearing because she was working on the day that and at the time of the hearing. In addition, the claimant called in to register for the hearing and was only 4 minutes late. Therefore, since the claimant made a good faith effort to participate, the claimant had good cause for missing AT2. Reverse the AT, claimant established good cause for AT2, resubmit.
We should modify the AT decision concerning good cause for missing the AT2 hearing. Although the claimant had permission to attend the hearing, the claimant misread the hearing instructions and failed to register. Since the commission has long held that misreading the hearing notice does not provide a party with good cause, we should find that the claimant did not establish good cause for missing the AT2 hearing. Concerning AT1, the claimant did not provide any information for missing the hearing. As such, the claimant did not establish good cause. Concerning the job separation, although the claimant previously met the employer's standards, the claimant was terminated when she displayed continued instance of call avoidance and poor customer service. Since the claimant had previously met the employer's standards, her continued poor performance constituted work-connected misconduct. As such, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant did not establish good cause for missing the AT2 and AT1 hearings, misconduct, reimbursing employer not billed, sever adequate employer response.
Claim established good cause for AT2, resubmit.
Who will resubmit the case?
Case number 3612415, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision should be reversed on good cause. The employer's primary representative at AT2 was unable to attend AT1 due to being on vacation, which according to the employer's appeal to the commission involved non-refundable tickets. The employer also stated that this witness had paperwork that the other employer witness were not responsible to handle. Because this witness was unable to attend AT1 due to circumstances beyond her control, we can find that the employer established good cause for its non-appearance and resubmit the case for merits testimony.
The AT decision should be affirmed. Regarding the good cause issue, the employer had several firsthand witnesses and failed to establish how one of those witnesses being unavailable prevented them from participating in the hearing by circumstances beyond their control. Regarding the separation, the claimant was discharged for attendance after she was late to work, despite receiving prior approval to come in late that day and submitting documentation as requested by the employer. Since the claimant was discharged for actions which had been approved by the employer, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, employer established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback.
Employer established good cause for AT1, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 3631429, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant informed the employer of her intention to resign, but she gave no definite resignation date with her written notice. And in discussions with the employer, the claimant indicated that she was giving 3 months notice, but she was willing to stay longer. Approximately a month and a half later, the employer told the claimant that her last day had to be within the next week or two because the employer needed to hire a replacement. Since the claimant gave more than 2 weeks notice and the claimant was not allowed to work through the notice period, the employer initiated the separation. The employer did not offer any evidence regarding the reason the claimant was separated. Therefore, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. The effective date of the claimant's resignation was a moving target. Because the resignation date had changed several times, the employer's acceptance of the resignation did not change the nature of the job separation. As for her reasons for quitting, the claimant's working conditions were not intolerable, and she did not bring issues with her supervisor to HR prior to quitting. Under these circumstances, the claimant did not establish good cause connected with the work for quitting. We should affirm the AT decision of voluntary leave.
No misconduct.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3631633, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not correct. The employer terminated the claimant for allegedly violating its ticketing policy. The claimant provided credible firsthand testimony denying any wrongdoing or that she knowingly violated any of the employer's policies or procedures. The employer did not appear for the hearing, and the claimant's firsthand testimony denying the employer's allegations should be given greater weight. Therefore, the employer has failed to establish that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
We should affirm the AT decision. Although the claimant was aware of the employer's conditions of the carriage policy, the claimant was terminated when she violated the policy by purchasing an airline ticket without intending to complete the trip. The claimant alleged that her intent was to complete the journey, but the totality of the evidence shows that the claimant intended to deboard at her layover location and not complete the trip. Since the claimant had previous restrictions for violating the employer's ticketing rules, the claimant's violation of the employer's carriage policy amounted to work-connected misconduct. As such, we should affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback.
Misconduct, no chargeback.
Short form dissent now.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3637030, Commissioner Esparza.
The commission should grant a rehearing in this case. In its appeal to the commission, the employer stated that it wishes to bring firsthand witnesses for the commission's consideration. Moreover, during the hearing, the employer attempted to provide the testimony of the superintendent, but he was unavailable. Accordingly, we should conduct a rehearing to allow the employer to present its firsthand witness, to enter its commission appeal evidence into the record, and to take testimony from the superintendent who was not available during the appeal hearing.
The AT decision is correct. The claimant was discharged due to a disagreement that he had with his supervisor. The employer only provided hearsay testimony regarding the final incident, and the claimant provided credible, sworn firsthand testimony consistently denying the employer's allegations against him. Therefore, the employer did not meet its burden of showing that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, bill reimbursing employer.
No misconduct, bill reimbursing employer.
Short form dissent.
I have your
Wait.
short form dissent.
Hold on, ma'am, sorry.
No, okay.
Yes, please commit my short form dissent for that last item. I'd like to please go back to the case number 3366588, which was the third case on this docket. On that case, I'm gonna make sure I got that right, 3366588. I'd like to change my vote to short form dissent on all issues.
All right, I have your short form dissent on all issues.
There's a lot of dates in that one, sorry.
Okay, that was the last case on docket 35. You should have received the short form dissent list for docket 35.
I'd move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 35, with the exception of case number 3656339, which I request be removed from this docket and brought back for consideration on a subsequent docket.
I second the motion except for those cases on which I am dissenting, as reflected on the UI short form dissent list for docket 35.
What was that? What was the case? Could you tell me the case?
3656339.
Yeah, forgive me on that one. I think it's just to resubmit the case. Is that correct, Chairman?
Mm.
Okay. I'll concur with the chairman, except for the cases of which I am dissenting is reflected in UI short form dissent list for docket 35.
And for the record, I'll agree with the chair as well, except for those cases which I am dissenting.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners. Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
All right. We will now move to docket 36.
Case number 3519472, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision is not supportable. The employer is enrolled with the state's Consumer Directive Services system as a parent with 2 special needs children who receive publicly funded healthcare services through that system. The payroll specialist who served as a witness stated that her company merely serves as the payroll agent between the state and the employer. Although the employer was unable to recall exactly why she did not participate in the hearings, she did mention that the reason had something to do with her child. And on the day of the hearing, she had no sitter for the program, excuse me. Based on many other appeals in tax and unemployment cases involving CDS employers, it would be fair for us to take administrative notice that an employer who qualifies for CDS services assistance from the state and has 2 special needs children who receive those services could easily have difficulty being free to participate in a hearing. Accordingly, we should reverse the AT decision. The employer had good cause to miss both hearings, and please resubmit on the merits of the chargeback issue.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The employer's witness testified that she missed the AT2 hearing due to something involving her children, but could not provide more specific testimony as to what prevented her from participating in the hearing. Therefore, the employer has failed to establish that it was prevented from participating in the hearing by circumstances beyond its control. As to the chargeback issue, the prior record includes no details regarding the reason for the claimant's separation from the employer upon which to base an exclusion from chargeback. Affirm the AT, employer failed to establish good cause for AT2 or AT1 chargeback.
Employer established good cause for AT1 and AT2 resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 3574605, Commissioner Esparza.
We should reverse the AT decision. Although the employer timely received the AT decision, TWC record shows that the employer attempted to correspond with the commission on multiple instances to inquire about their case. Since the employer's many attempts to get certified on their appeal transpired during the appeal period for the claim, the employer's Rule 16 petition to reopen should be held timely, and we should resubmit the case for merits testimony. Timely Rule 16 petition to reopen, resubmit.
The decision is correct. The employer received the AT1 decision in a timely manner, but did not file a petition to reopen until after the deadline because they had questions about the decision. The employer has not alleged that they were misinformed by the commission representative, and there are no good cause exceptions to the timeliness rules. Therefore, the employer's petition to reopen should be dismissed as late. Affirm the AT, late employer petition to reopen AT1, no misconduct, chargeback.
Timely employer petition to reopen, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 3585671, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision should be affirmed. Regarding good cause, the claimant failed to attend the AT hearing due to misreading the hearing notices. This does not constitute good cause for a claimant's non-appearance because reading the notice carefully is within claimant's power to control. As to the job separation, the claimant was fired for failing to respond to employer email. The email notified the claimant that she would be terminated if she did not communicate with the employer. The claimant did not communicate and was therefore terminated. While the claimant denies receiving the email, she did eventually find it, and her fact-finding statements are not the equivalent to sworn testimony subject to cross-examination. In sum, the AT decision is supportable and should be affirmed. The claimant did not have good cause for a non-appearance, misconduct, no chargeback.
The AT decision should be modified. I do not contest that the claimant did not establish good cause for her failure to appear at AT1. However, the available record established that the employer discharged the claimant because she failed to respond to an email instructing her to schedule a meeting with the employer. The claimant consistently stated to the claims examiner that the email in question was not in her email inbox, and she was unaware of the directive. Additionally, the claimant had never been warned for any similar behavior, and the employer indicated that she had always responded to directives regarding required performance improvements in the past. Therefore, the claimant's failure to respond to an email that she was not aware of did not constitute misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT, claimant failed to establish good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback.
Claimant established good cause for AT1, resubmit.
I'll agree with the chair, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. We will resubmit the case.
Case number 3617787, Commissioner Esparza.
We should reverse the AT decision. The claimant was discharged for filling out a bank deposit slip in the amount of $400 when the payment she received was for $500 cash. The claimant did not follow the usual protocol of waiting until the end of her shift to fill out the bank slips, but rather filled it out much earlier. The bank reported that there had been no overage in the employer's deposit for that day, and no one seems to know what happened to the missing $100. The claimant alleged that she inadvertently wrote $400 on the deposit slip instead of $500. Whether intentional or not, best case scenario, this claimant was negligent in carrying out her duties. Accordingly, the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. We should reverse the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
The decision is correct. The employer has failed to present evidence of a deliberate act on the claimant's part that led to her separation. The claimant provided credible testimony denying the employer's allegations that she falsified company documents. The claimant's actions were not deliberate or intentional. Her mistake was an isolated incident, and the claimant did not have any prior warnings for similar errors. Therefore, the available evidence does not establish that the claimant knowingly engaged in actions that would be considered misconduct. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Rehear for proof of any policy that the claimant's actions violated.
Okay. I'll support the chairman's issue on that.
Thank you. We will rehear the case.
Thank you.
Case number 3623462, Commissioner Trevino.
As I have previously voted in this case, which I believe was the majority vote, the AT decision should be set aside and the termination dated July 24th of 2023 should be voided. The commission has voted this way in similar prior commission appeals. In order to ensure consistency in the agency's decision-making, it is appropriate to formalize the principle that a claimant files an initial claim. A continued claim should not be generated based on the work that the claimant performs as a marketplace contractor in self-employment. Therefore, I move that we adopt this case as a new precedent to be included in the precedent manual.
We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant provided several different reasons for quitting work with the named employer. Since all the reasons were personal in nature, the claimant quit without work-connected good cause. Affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving.
Void the continued claim. We have been voting fairly consistently on cases with similar fact patterns to this one, where an individual is qualified for benefits and then tries to join the workforce as a gig worker, only to later realize that their efforts are better spent trying to join the workforce in a more lucrative or productive capacity. However, I don't have enough information about possible unintended consequences of the creation of a precedent like the one offered today. If we were to vote on that today, I would not be in favor of adoption of this case as a precedent as proposed. However, I am willing to table it for one additional to a future meeting after I've had time to be briefed by staff and consider where these cases are better treated as a case-by-case basis, or alternatively to be considered for rule revision, or even left for the legislature to address in law.
All right, we have a majority vote on the merits to set aside the AT decision and void the continued claim.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent. Thank you.
Case number 36288892, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant provided credible firsthand testimony that he informed the employer that he might have to resign if his spouse accepted a new job. In response to the claimant's indications that he might resign, the employer discharged the claimant. The claimant made no definite expression of an intention to resign, and he was not given, or he had not given the employer a reasonable impression that he was resigning, but was simply providing the employer with advance notice of his possible future action. By initiating the job separation based on this statement, the employer discharged the claimant for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
We should modify the AT decision. The claimant quit upon informing the employer that his wife procured a new job. The employer's firsthand witness testified that the claimant gave an unequivocal expression of his intent to quit. Since the claimant resigned when continued work was available, his separation was voluntary and without work-connected good cause. As such, we should modify the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever adequate employer response.
Read here for the employer to provide definitive evidence that the claimant clearly stated he would be resigning.
Ma'am, I'll agree with the chair.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3629030, Commissioner Trevino.
The claimant's continued claim involved her work as a marketplace contractor in self-employment. As such, there was no separation from employment, and the determination dated 8/1/23 should be voided. Set aside the AT decision, void the determination.
We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant stopped work due to personal reasons, thus she quit without work connected good cause. As such, we should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leave.
Void the continued claim.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3629446, Commissioner Trevino.
The claimant's continued claim involved her work for a marketplace contractor in self-employment. As such, there was no separation from employment, and the determination dated July 28/23 should be voided. Set aside the AT decision, void the determination.
The AT decision should be affirmed. I agree the claimant filed a valid claim. As to the job separation, the claimant stopped performing work with a named employer due to issues with her vehicle. There's a personal reason and does not constitute good work-connected good cause for quitting. We should therefore affirm the AT decision, valid claim, voluntary leave.
Void the continued claim.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3636349, Commissioner Esparza.
We should modify the AT decision. The record indicates that the claimant's mental health issues were a major contributing factor in the job separation. Thus, the claimant should be qualified for benefits at the employer's account, should be protected from charge under a medical separation analysis. Modify the AT decision, no misconduct, no chargeback, NVI. In the alternative, we should grant a rehearing in this case Several employer witnesses referenced the incident which occurred on the claimant's last day of work. It was this incident which precipitated the employer's decision to stop the claimant from working until she was evaluated by a professional. Because this final incident was not adequately developed, a rehearing is warranted. Rehear.
The decision is correct. The separation occurred when the employer asked the claimant not to return to the job due to some personal and mental health issues she was dealing with. The employer required the claimant to provide a letter from her doctor clearing her from work or clearing her to return to work, which the claimant provided shortly thereafter. However, the employer would not accept this letter without the claimant agreeing to allowing the employer to speak directly with her doctor. The claimant understandably did not agree to this request, and the employer refused to let her return to work. Therefore, since the employer discharged the claimant without any showing of misconduct on the claimant's part, the claimant should remain qualified for benefits. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback. In the alternative, since the claimant's separation was directly related to mental health issues, I could agree to finding the separation was a result of a medically verified illness. Modify the AT, no misconduct, no chargeback, MVI.
Rehear.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3640166, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant's testimony is contradictory and inconsistent when compared to a fact-finding statement that he provided at the commission. On the one hand, the claimant testified that he reported back to the employer a staffing firm for more work. On the other hand, the claimant provided a fact-finding statement which revealed he was advised that he needed to report back to the employer that his unemployment benefits could be affected for failure to do so, and that he did not report back to the employer for reassignment. Due to this inconsistency, the AT decision is supportable. Affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving overpayment.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant had been receiving benefits based on his initial claim work separation. The claimant then went to work for the named employer, a temporary help firm, on an assignment that ended after just 2 days. The claimant testified that he contacted the employer after the assignment ended, but was told no further work was available at that time. The claimant then began working for another temp agency. The named employer neither responded to the claim nor appeared for the hearing to refute any of the claimant's testimony. Therefore, since this job was neither suitable work due to its only offering a total of 16 hours, nor did the employer offer the claimant any further work after the assignment ended, the claimant should not have been disqualified on his continued claim separation. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving, no overpayment.
No voluntary leaving, no overpayment.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3747496, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision should be modified. The claimant testified that she was only without transportation for 2 days in December of 2023. The claimant also provided detailed testimony regarding her search for work and has established that other than the 2 days that she was without a vehicle, she had been available for full-time work. Though the claimant's work search showed that she is mainly seeking remote jobs, the claimant's last job involved work from home, and there was no evidence that the claimant was only willing to accept remote work. Modify the AT, claimant not available for work from 12/24/23 through 12/30 of 23. Recalculate overpayment.
We should affirm the AT decision. Prior to being held ineligible, the claimant reported in multiple fact-finding statements that she did not have transportation. One of these statements was given during an investigation into why the claimant filed late payment requests during an almost 2-month period. She explained that she did not have a car to get, excuse me, she explained that she did not have a car and could not get to a local workforce office during that time. These earlier statements are more credible than the inconsistent statements in her testimony she later provided. Accordingly, because the claimant was without transportation, she was not available for work. We should affirm the AT decision availability not eligible beginning December 24th, 2023. Reverse the ineligibility closure, the ineligibility closure date overpayment.
Claimant is available for work, no overpayment.
Short form dissent.
We do not have a majority vote on the availability issue. The chairman voted for the claimant was available for work, and you have Commissioner Trevino from December 24th, 2023 to December 30th, 2023
Yes, ma'am.
as being ineligible.
Yes, ma'am. I'll agree with the chair.
And I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Esparza.
Thank you.
All right, that was the last case on docket 36. The last one? No.
This one.
36, number 9.
Two votes for a rehear, 2 votes for MPI. Yeah. And so we just,
Oh, yeah.
do we need to clarify if there's 2 votes?
We have a
choice?
majority vote to be here.
Did we also have a majority vote for MPI?
Okay, thank you. All right, I apologize. I need to go back to case number 3636349. We had 2 majority votes in that particular case. So, Commissioner Esparza, you voted to, medically verify that case, as did Commissioner Trevino. And then, we also had a majority vote on the rehear from the chairman. And Mr. Esparza. Commissioner Esparza, your first vote was to rehear, is that correct?
My primary was modify the AT decision, no misconduct, no chargeback, MVI.
right.
And alternatively, it was to rehear.
Okay, then the majority vote, would be to, no misconduct, no chargeback, medically verified illness. And,
Affirm dissent.
okay, thank you. Thank you for your patience. Concludes docket 36. You should have received the short form dissent list for docket 36.
I move to accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 36.
I second the motion except for those cases which I am dissenting, as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 36.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting, as reflected in UI short form dissent list for docket 36.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. We'll take a short recess. It's agenda item 9, amendments to 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 804, Jobs and Education for Texans Grant Program.
Good afternoon, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Trevino, Commissioner Esparza, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, I'm Colin Bradley with the Workforce Development Division. Commissioners, before you today for your consideration and adoption are final rule amendments to Chapter 804, Jobs and Education for Texans. In an open meeting on June 18th, 2024, the Commission approved proposed amendments to TWC's Chapter 804 rules. Changes made to the chapter were minor, meant to align it with terminology used in statute and reflect updated program practices. The proposed rule amendments were published to the July 5th, 2024 issue of the Texas Register for a 30-day public comment period. No comments were received. Additionally, staff conducted the statutorily required 4-year review of the chapter and determined that the initial reasons for adopting the chapter still exist and that the chapter is still needed. Staff recommends adopting the amendments to Chapter 804. Should the Commission adopt these rules, staff requests the ability to make minor, non-substantive changes to the document in order to comply with the publication requirements of the Texas Register and the Office of the Secretary of State. This concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No, Chairman.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the adoption of amendments to 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 804, Jobs and Education for Texans Grant Program, as recommended today by staff.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. Motion carries. This is agenda item 10, adoption of final rule reviews.
Good afternoon, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Trevino, and Commissioner Esparza. Mr. Cerna, for the record, I'm Reed O'Brien with the Office of General Counsel. Texas Government Code, Section 2001.039 requires state agencies to review their rules every 4 years and determine if the initial reasons for adopting the rules continue to exist. Before you today for your consideration for readoption of rules are the following 5 chapters from Title 40 of the Texas Administrative Code. Chapter 823, Integrated Complaints, Hearings, and Appeals. Chapter 837, Apprenticeship Training Program. Chapter 840, WIOA Eligible Training Providers. Chapter 842, WIOA Non-Discrimination and Equal Opportunity. And Chapter 858, Procurement and Contract Management Requirements for Purchase of Goods and Services for Vocational Rehabilitation Services. In an open meeting on July 9th, 2024, the Commission approved the proposed review of those chapters for publication in the Texas Register for a 30-day public comment period. The proposed rule reviews were published in the July 19th, 2024 issue of the Texas Register, and no comments were received. Staff reviewed the 5 chapters and determined that the initial reasons for adopting the rules continue to exist and that the chapters are still needed. In accordance with the government code's requirements, staff recommends that the Commission readopts chapters 823, 837, 840, 842, and 858 as included in today's meeting notebook and published on the agency's website. This concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No, no questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the adoption of final rule reviews for the following chapters of Title 40 of the Texas Administrative Code chapter as recommended today by staff. Chapter 823, Integrated Complaints, Hearings, and Appeals. Chapter 837, Apprenticeship Training Program. Chapter 840, the WIOA Eligible Training Providers. Chapter 842, WIOA Non-Discrimination and Equal Opportunity. And Chapter 858, Procurement and Contract Management Requirements for the Purchase of Goods and Services for Vocational Rehabilitation Services.
Second.
It's been moved in second and motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So agenda item 11, recertifications of community rehabilitation programs to participate in purchasing people with disabilities program.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mr. Serna, Juan Garcia with the Voc Rehab Division. Commissioners, for your consideration and possible action this afternoon, we have 3 CRPs that are applying for recertification to continue participation in the Purchasing from People with Disabilities program. Desk reviews, compliance desk reviews of these 3 CRPs determined that their program models don't align with the PPD program rules. So we are recommending a 1-year conditional recertification of these 3 CRPs to allow them to develop a solution to bring their program models into compliance. The 3 CRPs are as follows: the Austin State Supported Living Center in Austin, the San Antonio State Supported Living Center in San Antonio, and the Texas Alcoholism Foundation in Houston. So staff recommends the 1-year recertification of these 3 CRPs to allow them time to bring their programs into compliance with the PPD program rules. With that, I can answer any questions you might have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
When did we discover that these 3 entities were out of compliance with the program guidelines and regulations?
We did a desk review of Texas House back in June of 2023. And so we worked through the process of bringing that up and consulting with OGC and the state supported living centers. That was, I believe, about July or August of 2023 when we did a desk review. I believe that's the case there.
When does so they're asking for recertification. When does their current certification end?
I would have to look that up, Commissioner. I believe that the state supported living centers were due for recertification back in August of this year, if I'm not mistaken. And Texas House was due, if I'm not mistaken, June of this year, but I'd have to check those dates for you, sir.
So commissioners, what concerns me about this staff proposal today is that we're being asked to certify something that we know is incorrect. And we've had about a year to fix this problem. Like, we've had these desk audits done a year ago. Here we are more than a year later, and we still haven't fixed anything. I'm uncomfortable voting to certify something that I know to be incorrect. On the other hand, I see the merit in giving people enough time to fix the problems that they have. But obviously, all three organizations, it would appear to me, are doing good work. They're doing something that's beneficial to the Texas workforce. And so I'm caught in what may very well be just a personal catch-22 between I don't want to vote to do something, let something go forward that I absolutely know is incorrect because staff told me it was incorrect, versus I don't want to just kill the certification. I'm presuming there's no middle ground here. I don't even think we have rules that tell us to do this 1 year temporary certification. So we're kind of blazing new ground here. I'm wondering if they're already on expired certifications, there's a lot going on here that I can't quite unpack all of it.
If I may, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, two things. One, staff does not disagree with you that unfortunately, there's not a middle ground, and it's sort of uncomfortable to provide a 1 year extension. The reason for the 1 year extension is we believe that the fix is going to be legislative. If the legislature is inclined to do that, then these organizations will have to seek that change. This gives them time to do that, for the governor to, if there is a bill, for the governor to execute that bill. And then if not, allow them basically a smooth wind down. We've already indicated that short of that there's nothing that the agency could do, including in rule, without the appropriate authority. Now, the other thing is we could continue to simply allow them to operate, but it undermines the certification from the perspective of other CRPs that have delayed, that don't have a similar problem, but simply delayed at getting their information to us. The threat that we have is to not recommend their recertification and therefore remove them from the program, but that's for different circumstances. So just to kind of explain why we've chosen this option and also why it's taken us so long, I've had several meetings with Texas House is another organization that'll probably be coming up, and one of the state schools trying to come up with a solution that is not available short of a legislative fix.
So can I conclude then that the reason for their inaction over the last 12 months is they simply cannot fix it?
They have been attempting to figure out ways, working with us and working independently and with their own attorneys and other advisors to quote, fix it, which is basically to turn these individuals into employees. They can't do that. They can't turn them into employees, and there's not a mechanism for us to recognize an individual who is not an employee in the program as an employee. But the part of the delay is they've been looking for a fix and have finally come to the conclusion that they can't find a fix short of a legislative fix. So that kind of is where we're at right now.
So what's our waiver authority here? I mean, is it written into the rules what we can and can't waive, whether the commission waives it, the executive director? What are our sort of options relative to that?
I believe that what I've been briefed is that we can't waive the employment requirement. We can recertify the organization, allow them to operate as they have been operating for several years now prior to the program coming to the agency. It wasn't brought to our attention that they were doing this until we conducted the desk audit. We only have 2 individuals going out there to conduct desk audits of all the programs. So
I presume we can't waive it because it's a statutory requirement.
Yes, sir.
So if we do an additional year certification, we still have the same violation of the statute.
Yes, sir. And if there's not a fix, then we've already indicated to these CRPs that we would not recommend recertification beyond the 1 year that we're doing right now. So they have a year to to try to get it addressed in the legislature. And we have indicated to them that that is their to do, not our to do.
Mm-hmm. What are the consequences to them if they don't get recertified?
They won't be able to sell any of the services under the Purchasing for People with Disabilities program. That's a revenue source that goes back and supports the individual programs. So they would lose what is probably a substantial revenue source unless the agencies that they're working with are inclined to want to simply continue to contract with them. But in that case, there's still a catch-22 because agencies are required to use the program unless there are particular circumstances that exist that allow them to go outside the program for services that are provided in the program. I know that sounds like a lot of
No.
catch-22 language, but it is a catch-22 is you use the program unless there's something that's provided that's not in the program. In this case, there are services that they provide that are provided by other CRPs in the program.
And just so I can be clear, that's because we have these three entities that can't qualify statutorily. The problem is that whatever model they're using is in violation of the statute. And so they can't get certified under the regular rules that we have or the statute as it's existing. They haven't had, I guess, any cause to change what they're doing despite being in violation of the statute. And basically, we would give them the proposals to give them one more year so they can try to get the legislature to fix it for them.
Yes, sir. In a nutshell.
Is there any other comments or questions? Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve a one-year recertification of the following community rehabilitation programs for participation in the Purchasing from People with Disabilities program as recommended today by staff. Austin State Supported Living, San Antonio State Supported Living Center, and Texas Alcoholism Foundation Incorporated, DBA Texas House.
I'll second.
It's been moved second. Show me as voting no. I assume with the motion and the second that the other two commissioners are voting yes.
Correct.
All right, let the record reflect that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. This is agenda item 12, Texas Workforce Commission fiscal year 2025 operating budget and 2026-27 legislative appropriations request.
More afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Cerna. For the record, Chris Nelson, Chief Financial Officer. This afternoon, you have several documents related to our 2025 operating budget and 2026-27 legislative appropriation request. The first one is the exceptional items from our last meeting. All items were approved with the exception of two, the civil rights and the COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Those items were asked to be brought back. And so I'm bringing that item back. And then once the commission make a decision on those two items, I'll ask the commission to vote on priority of all the exceptional items.
All right. Let's just take them up here in the order that they appeared in Chris's original document. Which means on civil rights. I don't think we need a motion. We can just move down the line and understand whether we want it in or want it out. That's the question before us. I think we're okay on doing it this way. Commissioner Trevino.
Okay. I would say we could leave it in, but move it down to second to the last, right before the COVID-19, if that's okay.
I'll support that.
All right, I'm for leave it out. So let the record reflect that. I don't think we've made a case for why we need this. I don't think we should be asking the legislature for this money. This seems very premature. I think this is a conversation for next session. And so I just want to make sure to get that objection on the record. All right, then we'll move to the COVID-19 employer vaccination mandate prohibition.
That one I have either way. I'll go either way. It
Okay.
doesn't matter if it's in or out.
I'd like to leave that on this here.
I'm sorry, Joe, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Excuse me,
You are in or out?
leave this out.
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
out on this one. I'd like to see this removed from our request. Only to see the volume. I want to make sure that I support protecting these, the employer vaccination. SB7, I support that action that we're doing here in Texas. I want to find out, the volume that we're going to see as far as continuing into the next biennium, and then make sure that we're supporting that. But I would vote to leave that out.
I would also vote to leave it out. It also seems premature. I think like the civil rights situation, we're trying to guess a situation instead of understanding the situation. We have mechanisms to request funds through supplemental appropriations and a couple other methods that are available to us. And so just like the last one, I'm a vote to leave this one out. Same reasons, premature. And I don't think we have the acute need that this would indicate that we have. So it looks like, based on the vote here today, civil rights is in, COVID-19 employer vaccination mandates is out.
That's correct.
All right. What else do you need?
Rank the priority.
Rank them.
Yes. So when we submit to the Legislative Budget Board, we have to rank these by priority.
All right. This is like, this is going to be complicated, maybe, or maybe not. Let me just go one by one on the order that Chris listed in here, which are in no particular order. This is just the order Chris worked on that. Let's see if we can find some consensus on some things, and we'll take that consensus, and then I think we'll work through the rest of them. We've got to do the exceptional items, and then we also have to do the capital items as well. And
Correct. They both have to be in priority order.
Okay. Let's just take up the regular exceptional items first. The first one is vocational rehabilitation, general revenue for federal match. I actually have that listed as number 1 on my list.
Yeah, I would agree.
Agreed.
All right. Texas Education Code Chapter 133 apprenticeship training is next. Coincidentally, I have this second on my list as well.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Yeah, that'll work.
Texas Veterans Leadership Program. There's 2 veterans items on here. This is Texas Veterans Leadership Program. It's listed 3rd here. I have it 3rd on my list. I have it 3rd on my list because this is replacing money that's not going to be there. We got to figure out how to pay for this very valuable program. So I have it listed 3rd on my list.
I agree too.
Agreed.
All right. The next one listed is older individuals who are blind for program client services. I have it listed 6th on my list.
So you're gonna move it up to 4?
No, I have it
Yeah.
listed as 6. Still have it listed as 6. I'm going in the order Chris listed it and trying to assign a number. I'm trying not to. I don't want to go on the number I did it because then that influences the conversation too much, perhaps. If you're asking me, I have Texas Veterans Network as 4 and Workforce Readiness, Outreach and Youth Services 5, and then older individuals who are blind 6th. Let me also add right here, just as a point of personal privilege, gentlemen, if you need, when you got to turn this in?
It's due Friday.
It's due Friday. We could submit our rankings to Chris and let him break the tiebreakers if you feel like you're put on the spot. Or we're going to take some time this afternoon and talk through it. But it is due Friday, and that's what's called a hard deadline in governmental terms.
That's correct.
They mean now.
Yes.
I'm good up to 6. I'll let you know that.
You're good with older individuals being at 6?
Well, you're 4, 5, and 6.
Oh, you're like my 4, 5, and
are
6 in that order.
reasonable.
Okay. If we can close out the conversation, then I have career schools and colleges FTE at 7, labor market information FTEs at 8, and then labor law enforcement at 9 is how I closed it out.
I had career schools, the career schools and colleges, that one FTE at 7. What did you have it as? You had it at 8?
7.
Okay.
And then I had labor market information at 8
Yep.
and I had labor law enforcement at 9.
Okay, let's see.
So if I'm just going with majority votes, it looks like 8 and 9 are the only two that need to be determined, because I said I had 4, 5, and 6. Commissioner Esparza agreed with my 4, 5, and 6. Commissioner Esparza and I agreed on 7. And so then that leaves labor market information, FTEs, and labor law enforcement is the two that have not been ranked, and one would be 8 and one would be 9.
I had 8 at labor market, LMI FTE at 8. And
Then we
labor-
agree on that as well.
Yeah, and then labor market. Labor law.
So,
No.
so again, if we just go with the majority vote, that's gonna get that. Let me read these, make sure we're all in agreement that this is what we have. And then, if there's any comments or questions, we'll certainly take those up. So I have vocational rehabilitation, general revenue for federal match. I have that our consensus was 1. I have Texas Education Code Chapter 133 apprenticeship training. I have a consensus vote for that is 2. Texas Veterans Leadership Program, I have a consensus vote on that as 3. Texas Veterans Network, I have at least that Commissioner Esparza and I voted that one to be 4th.
Yeah, I'm good with 4.
Okay, consensus. 5th would be workforce readiness, outreach, and youth services.
I'm good with that one.
Older individuals who are blind would be ranked 6th. Career schools and colleges FTE 7th. Labor market information FTE 8th. And labor law enforcement 9th. That's based on consensus votes and then majority votes on those individuals. If there's any concerns, comments, questions, we probably really do have to take those up right now. All right. No concerns?
No concerns?
I move then that we rank those in the order that was discussed and that I just read.
And
Thank you.
Chairman, the civil rights would be the last one. then, right?
Oh, correct.
10.
Thank you. That would be 10. Good
And the
catch.
legislature will tell us their order next year.
All right, yeah. So as I read it, as Commissioner Trevino pointed out, the 10th one would be civil rights. I moved that. Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any objection? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. All right, moving on then to, this would be our capital budget and IT. And unless somebody feels strongly about it, I thought the order they were in was probably the order I would go, but I would love to hear your thoughts about it.
I was thinking that order was fine too.
I'll agree.
Is there any reason that shouldn't be the order, Mr. Cerna? Right.
All right.
I can make the motion or you can. I don't care who does.
What does it matter?
Okay. I move that the capital budget and IT be ranked in priority order and the order that they're listed in our briefing document that has been presented to us today. Is there a second?
I second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing no objection, the motion carries.
Thank you. Next, you have a schedule for the 2025 operating budget, summary schedule for the 2025 operating budget in the amount of $2,739,245,024, and the legislative appropriation request for 2026 and 2027 in the amount of $5,539,838,487. There are several summary schedules that comprise the information that we'll submit to LBB and ABEST on Friday by method of finance, strategy, and the number of FTEs that we're requesting. There's also at the very end a schedule for the 2025 management fee for the Purchasing from People with Disabilities Program, and we are requesting to set the rate at 5.8% of the net commission of contracts. And then lastly, there is a document on the performance measures related to the 2025 operating budget and the 2026-2027 legislative appropriation request. That concludes my comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, any comments or questions?
None here.
No, sir.
All right, and what you need, we have done the exceptional items and performance measures. We've already voted on that. So what you have left for us to vote on is the fiscal year 2025 Texas Workforce Commission operating budget. Is that correct?
Correct. And the 2026-27 legislative appropriation request. The exceptional items were part of
This is
that,
the rest of the.
but this is the rest of the budget.
Before we get to that motion that Commissioner Trevino is going to make, let me just say this. Most of you know, my first 20 years of my career were all in agriculture. It is a established fact that in agriculture that when a duck is sitting pristinely on a pond and it looks very calm and cool and collected, in fact, that duck is paddling furiously under the surface of the water. You just can't see it. And I would say that this budget stuff is not easy. Chris gives a very calm demeanor, but I think he has been paddling furiously to get this done. I don't do this often enough, but I will say this here. I've been doing state government, I don't think it's like my 10th or 12th, somewhere in there, legislative session. Budget process is complicated. It never gets simpler. We're very blessed to have the finance team here. So to Chris and all of his finance team, thank you for working us through this process so smoothly. This goes incredibly well at this agency. I have worked at other agencies. I'll just leave it at that. But it is a real benefit to this agency that you and your team can make this conversational, help us make the decisions that we have to make, and obviously meet our very mandatory deadline of Friday. Thank you very much for all that you do. Other comments or questions?
No, I'll just agree with what the chair just said. Thank you so much, Chris, for all the work you and your team do for this.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we adopt the fiscal year 2025 Texas Workforce Commission operating budget as part of the 2026-2027 legislative appropriation request as presented today by staff.
A second.
It's been moved second, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is agenda item 13, Workforce Development Board nominees.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, Kara Wheeler with the Workforce Development Division. Today, for your consideration, we have Workforce Board nominations for Workforce Solutions, Coastal Bend, and South Plains. Staff recommends approval on the presented nominees, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Comments or questions?
I just wanted to say, Ms. Wheeler, that you're becoming a regular here, so you're doing better. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir.
No questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the local Workforce Development Board member nominees presented today for Workforce Solutions Coastal Bend and South Plains.
A second.
It's been moved second, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can tell that we're getting closer to the legislative session. This is like 2 appearances back to back for Michael Britt. And I have not seen this tie before. This may be a new tie in honor of the legislative session. Legislative report.
Had to start the new year off right.
There you go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Cerna. For the record, Michael Britt, Governmental Relations. TWC will be testifying before the House Committee on International Relations and Economic Development at their hearing at 10 a.m. next Tuesday, September 10th. The committee has asked TWC to provide an update on the implementation of the Lone Star Workforce of the Future Fund and House Bill 4451 from the previous session, which requires TWC to issue a report regarding apprenticeship opportunities in the state for emerging high-demand occupations. The committee has also asked that TWC provide them with an update on the industry recognized apprenticeship program and the TWC subsidized childcare program, and finally, a general agency update. So next Tuesday, Mr. Cerna, Mary York, and Reagan Miller will spend probably a good part of the day testifying before the committee on behalf of the agency. This concludes my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions.
That's exciting that the personnel has already been designated in my name. wasn't called just yet. So that's good. Any comments or questions?
None here.
Nope, have fun.
Thank you, Michael. Got an executive director's report today.
I would love to have you or any of the other commissioners go.
Michael's already made his decision, but thank you.
I would always defer to one of the three of y'all. Just I do have an executive director's report, very quickly. We become aware of a Department of Labor grant that, become available that we would, like to apply for. We will be applying for. This grant would, fund some of our expenses with regard to what's still lingering from the pandemic, as well as some of our fraud and general, unemployment insurance administration. The grant is large enough that if we get everything that we pursue, we believe that our share would be about $4.5 million. So deadline is coming up towards the end of this month. Unless there's some issue that y'all have, we're gonna go ahead and pursue that.
Any comments or questions?
No questions, sir.
No questions.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other order of business come before the commission? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Chairman, I move to adjourn the meeting.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded and we're adjourned. Thank you.